Council members, I would like a motion to move the butterfly resolution to a presentation down the floor now, followed by our employee of the month.
I'll second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Come on down. Okay, first thing we're going to do is a resolution for the butterfly garden that we have. We've had a number of people that have worked on it. We've gotten a certificate that is an official butterfly way station. And we got a nice little plaque to go on there to let people know when they walk around Silver Lake that that garden is a butterfly garden. I'm going to try and start this out. Jen's going to be on deck. Got the tissues here. On double deck will be Colleen. And if need be, we'll go to April over there. A resolution, oh, you know what, before that, can I have some of the key members for this butterfly garden to please come forward? Rose Degania, Janet Grosshandler, and Dorsey Latza. Come on. And also the Girl Scouts who were here were a big help in planting the garden, but they're not here tonight. Okay, this is a resolution to approve the naming of the Monarch Butterfly Garden. Whereas Jane McGovern was an integral member of the Belmar community for over 40 years. Whereas Jane McGovern was elected in 2001 as the Belmar Citizen of the Year. And in 2004, Jane was honored as the Deputy Grand Marshal of the Belmar St. Patrick's Day Parade. In 1997, she was also named the Teacher of the Year for the Diocese of Trenton and was recognized as a 20-year volunteer at the Jersey Shore Medical Center. Whereas Jane McGovern, through her service as an art teacher for St. Rose Grammar School and running arts and crafts activities for the Borough of Belmar, was dedicated to spreading beauty through the community. And whereas Jane McGovern, who after a long and courageous battle with cancer, passed away in April this year. Whereas, with her passing, the Borough of Belmar joins her family and friends in grieving the loss of this amazing woman. Whereas the naming of a significant public space is appropriate recognition for such a distinguished person, and whereas the Silver Lake Monarch Inn is a beautiful monarch butterfly garden at Silver Lake, lovingly tended to by Jane McGovern's family and friends. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Mayor and Borough Council on this 4th day of August, 2015, hereby names the Silver Lake Monarch Inn in honor of Jane McGovern. And be it further resolved that the Mayor and the Borough Council directs that appropriate signage be installed at the Silver Lake Monarch Inn and a ceremony be held to mark the naming of this beautiful garden for Belmar's Jane McGovern. We have the certificate, we have the board, and the Butterfly Conservatory sent us especially some butterflies. These are homing butterflies that once they're released, they will return to this box and sometime during the meeting. If not, George Camitas is going to be seen running around this building tomorrow with a butterfly in it. So,
It was hot today, and it's cold in here, so I hope that they've adjusted to the climate change. So I'm going to release it. That's just a joke.
Right,
that's a joke. They're fake.
Our butterfly's gonna fly.
Yeah.
I just want to say there's a really nice quote that says, if you whisper I love you to a butterfly, they'll take your message to someone in heaven.
Yeah. So we will get that sign up on the butterfly garden. So this is Dorsey Latza. She's a master gardener in town. Janet was a best friend since freshman year in high school, and it was her idea to come up with renovating the rain garden into becoming a butterfly garden. And Dorsey and Janet and Rose Begonia and Murray Brennan has supplied the milkweed, which is such an important plant for the butterflies. And just these women have done such a good job. And you might question, well, where is the butterfly garden? It's at the top of Silver Lake, on North Lake Drive near D Street. So, and it's in great shape right now, considering that we started it in, what, July?
Yeah.
And, you know, the butterflies should get there, and next year it'll just get better and better each year. So we appreciate it.
And Brian and I were talking earlier today that it'd be nice if maybe we could get a bench over there and just make it a very peaceful area for people to just go and sit there quietly and meditate, whatever they'd like to do.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, now for our Belmar Employee of the Month. This person does not know who they are, right, Colleen? Okay, so it's going to be a surprise. Okay, it goes to Mafalda Muffy Sinelli. Congratulations. Mafalda works at the tourism booth on the boardwalk. She has worked as a tourism booth attendant for 7 years. She's formerly from Jersey City. Is that Jersey? Muffy is a Belmar resident and the face of Belmar tourism at our beachfront. She distributes information on Belmar's restaurants, events, and beach amenities. Muffy is also known and loved by all who walk and run the Belmar boardwalk. She loves to dance. I hear you can do a split. And can even do the splits. You know, in order to get your equipment, you have to...
No.
No injuries. Muffy is always smiling. Now Jen will challenge her. Muffy is always smiling, as you can see. She's happy to welcome our visitors to Belmar. Prizes for the Employee of the Month. Sorry, this year is none. Lunch with the mayor. And this really should, this is in this print, it should say lunch is on the mayor?
On the mayor.
On the mayor, okay, good.
Oh, okay. Tell my accept.
$100 courtesy of the BBP to spend at the Belmar businesses of your choosing.
Wow.
All right.
I'm huge.
Your photograph is going to go on the Route 35 sign for the entire month. Okay? And you get, tomorrow in your booth, to wear this stylish hat. Okay. Here's your certificate.
Thank you. Oh, my name looks so good.
And all the things that you get.
Wow. Where's the $100?
Okay, it's on there somewhere. Okay. Now, before you go, 7 years, you must get a ton of strange questions. Is there any question that stands out over those years? Like, where's the ocean?
Yeah.
That's right. What about
I
the
had teachers from Atlantic City, and they were 3 teachers, young people, and they came home to me. They said, gee, we were never here. She said, and I love the ocean. So I said, well, there it is right behind me. I said, beautiful ocean. So she says, does that have salt water in it? I said, you're a teacher? I said, Atlantic City? Atlantic Ocean? I told her, couldn't believe it. But I said, don't take your kids to that school.
Okay.
I had a lot of other stuff, but I can't tell
A
you.
little photo op? Do you want? Okay, welcome.
Thank you,
Okay.
everybody. Thank you for this day.
Jeff, the clerk.
And Mary's my best boy.
Mary, come up here.
Nobody.
Mary, come on. Come on. Come on.
Mary took me in when I was 80 years old.
Muffy's 87, incidentally.
I knew enough not to give the age.
Coming up. Ready? Jen, Tom, you step up. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Council, can I have a motion for a vote on the butterfly garden to be named after Jane McGovern? Do I have a?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Councilman Blackburn?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman Belmar?
Well, if I voted no, I'd have to be dodging lightning bolts. Yes, yes. Is there anything for the workshop? Anybody want to discuss anything in particular? No?
I'm just flying along.
Yes. Well, not those butterflies. I want everyone to realize that they were fake. That was my sense of humor.
I'm waiting for them to start moving.
They might.
Sleep on.
Okay, petitions. Has anybody in the room, do you have a petition for the council? I see none. April?
Yes, I received a petition on July 30th, 2015, seeking referendum on bond ordinance number 2015-25 from a committee of petitioners consisting of Patricia Correa, Fred Marziano, Kim Patterson, Maureen Dean, and Katrina Klapsis. And pursuant to NJSA 40:69A, I have reviewed the petitions and hereby certify to the council that the petitions are sufficient. The council has 20 days from today's date to repeal the ordinance. If action is not taken on or before August 24th, 2015, this matter will be submitted to the voters unless the petition is withdrawn by the petitioner.
And August 24th, you say?
Yes.
And when's our next meeting scheduled for?
September 1st.
Okay. So Kyle, what's our procedure here? Just
It's accepted tonight, advise the council of it, it's available for all of you to view. I encourage you to do so.
Janice, do you have the approval of the minutes?
I move that the minutes of the meeting held on July the 7th, 2015 be approved as recorded and that a copy thereof be posted on the borough's website.
I'll second.
Councilman Blackburn?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
I abstain. Was not here. Okay, we start now. Reports of council. Usually I go first, but Janice, why don't you go first?
Okay. on, I don't have the date in front of me, the 19th of July, I'm sorry. We had Choose Your Cover down on the beach. 130 people attended and checked for skin cancer. 31 of them were employees this year, and I was so impressed that so many of our lifeguards and gate people down in the boardwalk came and got checked. Of the 130 people, 4 were found to be highly suspicious of melanoma. So those 4 people possibly would not have any clue that they were probably in a dangerous position. So this, it was free for everybody, and it's just a great thing. And next year I'm hoping that more people come out to it. It was raining that morning, so I'm sure that kept a lot of people away, but I thank everyone who helped make it a success. It really was. Our police department was wonderful. Our DPW was wonderful in helping out with it, and I certainly appreciate all of our employees who worked so hard that day. The Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee have been working for several months very, very hard. Very few meetings. The presentation is just about ready to come before the council at the September 1st meeting, so there will be a workshop event on that at that meeting. We've been meeting with the state and the county. We met with the county a couple of months ago. We met with the county again, and we found out that the county has new guidelines. So for them to work with Belmar, Belmar will have to accept the new county guidelines. When we met with the state DOT, we were a little bit surprised, and very, very happily surprised. We found out that the state has a study going, and they've been looking for a town that has a state road that goes through that town, so they can work with that town on any changes that might be made to help with pedestrian, bicycle, and automobile safety. So we're hoping that Belmar will be that town. That would give us the engineering that everything starts with engineering, and if we are accepted, the state will be providing all of that for us. Everybody, both the state when we met with them and the county when we met with them, seemed to be very favorable to the suggestions that the committee made. And I'm hoping that when it's presented to the council, that the council and all of the residents are pleased with the hard work. Somebody who's not on the committee but has been out there helping, and we really appreciate his help, is Bill McKim. He's been out taking photos for the committee, and you'll get to see those when the presentation happens at the next meeting. The only other thing that I have is about the library, and speaking of Bill McKim, the art show that's at the library right now is Bill McKim's photos. So get in sometime this month, and you know what great work he does. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom?
Oh. Thank you, Councilman McGovern. I just have a couple of things. About 3 weeks ago, I got an email from Mike and Melanie Long, who live over on Ocean Avenue. They were concerned because they noticed that some of the lease turns that are supposed to nest on our protected natural beach of First Avenue were actually moving further south. Members of the Belmar Environmental Commission to see if they knew anything about it, and I got a response back from Ed Lippincott. I want to let everybody know what he said. Beach nesting site on the natural beach is actually having a spectacular year. American oyster catchers have fledged 4 chicks, which is actually really a very large number. These terns are having a really very good year with high hatching rates and very little predation. One of the effects of Sandy was that a lot of the the feral cats and other predators aren't around anymore, so that it's really helped the birds out. And I think that's one of the reasons they're so successful up on the natural beach. They're actually moving further south. We also have common terns nesting, and even more remarkable, I'm going to have to look these birds up, is a colony of black skimmers. The skimmers have only nested in New Jersey, one other site, near Atlantic City. So we have like one of 2 nesting sites for these birds here in Belmar. And at one point, Commissioner Lippincott makes is that in the past, DPW is not supposed to rake the beach near the nesting sites, and they've been very, very good about it this year in particular. And I wanted to say kudos to Public Works for being so receptive to taking care of this. I know they want the beach to look nice, but if we run machinery near these nesting areas, the birds just won't have any success. Our Belmar Natural Beach is becoming one of the most important beach nesting sites, not only in the state of New Jersey, but on the entire northeast coast. And hopefully we can take that and make it make a little noise for ourselves that way. I think it's really, it speaks volumes to the commitment of our community to maintaining our environment, and also, and helping these birds out. These terns are still on the endangered list, and we're one of the places where they're not. One other thing I wanted to mention is I wanted to say thank you to all those people who expressed their condolences to me and my wife. I don't know how many of you know, but we had to put our dog Scout down this past weekend. He's been with us for, we're trying to figure out, over 11 years. Everybody in the neighborhood knew him. He was just having a hard time, and now we're having a hard time. So I just want to say thank you everybody who expressed their condolences to me. I never had a dog that long, so this is a new experience for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. One thing I want to mention is Ed Lippincott from the Environmental Commission, very, very involved. And the horseshoe crabs, when they come ashore, especially like on L Street Beach, they get tagged. And some of the horseshoe crabs, they can identify from year to year. So some of the crabs that came ashore this year were the same horseshoe crab that came ashore last year and the year before. It's pretty interesting. And actually some of the people in the community join in with the environmental people and go down and just kind of experience this phenomenon about the horseshoe crabs coming into shore, like in May under a full moon. So it's, I'm glad to hear that it's growing. Councilwoman Nicolay?
I want to start off by thanking Councilwoman Michelle Blackburn. I did go to the Choose Your Cover. If you don't want to get checked, which you should because they're great, they do a thorough job, at least go and get some of the materials. They've got free sunscreen, all sorts of giveaways, so I thought it was really nice. I want to thank Claire Dykey for being part of our summer camp. She's been speaking to the kids. Is it 3 classes? Do you want to elaborate on that?
Well, I guess you can't take the teacher out of the girl. And I heard about the camp for people who might wonder, it's on a voluntary basis. So I've enjoyed it. It's for the 4th, 5th, and 6th grades. We did sights and sounds of summer and what friendship means, and your favorite room in your house. And then they drew and wrote. So they got a little bit of creative writing and picture drawing, and I'm hoping that they enjoyed it. I have something special in mind for them on Friday, so I enjoyed it very much. The children in this town and the camp are wonderful, receptive, engaging, and polite, and I really have enjoyed it, and I'll probably do it again next summer if you'll have me.
Absolutely. And my daughter came home with a beautiful, well, she's kind of artistic, but a beautiful picture of the sounds and sights of summer, and it was great. She said she really enjoyed it. Been bumping into mothers left and right who are just thanking us up and down for this camp. They're already looking forward to it next year. They're going to get on the list early and spread the word, so very excited about that. Please make sure you check out at the Belmar Arts Council. It's called Shore Reflections. If you haven't been to a show there, you have got to get there. They're just great. I guarantee once you go, you'll be going to numerous ones after that. Farmers Market, don't forget about the Farmers Market. There's not a lot to report on. The town looks tremendous and they're working extremely hard. But I always promote buy local. The other day I ran a ton of errands in town. everything was right in Belmar, and it's important to keep them up and running businesses. We've got endless amount of new ones. We've got the Cupcake Couture, we've got Cute as a Button, Koi Boutique, the new season, the new gallery. We've got the second art gallery in town, which is great for our little town. So please wander around, check out the new shops, and if you could buy some stuff and help support them, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Yep.
I see one of the people that helped with the Butterfly Garden had just come in. Rose Dugania, do you want to just stand up so we can, you're one of the instrumental people. Yeah, but Rose, we have some butterflies up here for you to take home with you.
Keep them alive.
Okay, on the beach report, as you know, the weather recently has been very good. You know, with the beach lockers, so far this year we have made $90,000, yes, $90,000 on renting beach lockers. Compared to last year, it was $64,000. The parking receipts, as you know, we've increased the price. Last year we brought in $74,000 at this date for the parking meters. This year it is now $124,000 from the parking receipts. We have almost caught up into the actual number of beach badges sold. As you know, June was not a good month and July started out a little slow. We're only about 6,000 daily badges behind last year at this point. But for selling total beach badges this year, we are at $2,463,069. So that's where total receipts for the beach at this point, it's $2,678,408. And if the weather is nice this weekend and through August, we could break a record there as far as revenue brought in. We had a Harbor Commission meeting last night, and there is still a great concern from the Harbor Commissioners about the dredging of the marina, the maintenance dredges where the boats are. And I know we're going to do the channels soon, but they are really, really concerned about where the boats are docking, especially E-dock, where the 30-foot boats are docked. So if we can really sit down and kind of work on this to see what we can do for, especially for next year, they really are concerned that next year, if it fills in even more next year, some of those 30-foot boats are just going to have to go maybe to other marinas. So we have to look at that. The jet skis. We have not rented as many jet skis as we had wanted to. You see on one of the resolutions today, we are reducing the fee for the jet skis, which is surprising. It could be, according to the Harbor Commission people, maybe because of the shallowness of the river, and they really don't want to go out there and get stuck on a sandbar, especially at low tide. So, you know, we're going to try and reduce the fees, but the jet skis, we're looking to push a little bit stronger than last year. We had a meeting at Turnstiles, a community neighborhood meeting at Turnstiles, and it's funny, we've had success with the kayaks. If you drive by L Street Beach, you'll see how many people have rented our kayak slips. We're up to about probably at least 100 or more. And so success has brought parking problems to the neighborhood. So the L Street Beach was popular last year and has just increased in popularity this year with kayaks and stand-up paddling and our junior sailing program. So it's really a very active last year, and we discussed at this community neighborhood that we have approximately $2 million in grant money. And it's going to go in 4 stages, and work will begin in this autumn, this fall. Yeah, so we're going to be doing work over there at McCleary Park this fall. This Tuesday, yes, this Tuesday coming up. Well, this Tuesday is now. Next Tuesday, the Belmar Historical Society in the community room next door, which is right outside the foyer here, they're going to have anything that you have in your attic or your basement or you have around in your garage that you think might be of historical value or interest to Belmar, to please come down, and it'll be like when you're in school, show and tell. Bring those items to the community room. The meeting starts at 7 o'clock, goes from 7 o'clock until 9, and show and tell what you have. It could be old photographs of Belmar when your grandparents, great-grandparents were, at the beach or after a hurricane. Seems like everyone in Belmar took pictures after hurricanes. And it could be a very good interest. And if you want to donate some of the originals to the Historical Society, they would be very interested. If you want to loan it to them and they will copy it so they have it on file to increase their historical artifacts for Belmar, you can do that also. So this is going to be Tuesday, and it's going to be August, where is it on here? 11th, yes. At 7 o'clock in this building, right next door. Show and tell anything you have in your attic, your garage, anywhere in your house, or you have relatives that might have something of interest. Please bring it down, and it could be very interesting. Even if you don't, just come and listen to what some of these people have. It's really, really interesting when you find out what some of the people have stored up in their house from generations of coming down to Belmar. That is my report. Okay. And we move on, right?
Public session.
Public session for the okay. Does anybody have any comments from the public about the resolutions on the agenda? You want to come up to the microphone, state your name, address? Anybody? Mike.
Council President McGovern, Council, good evening. First off, I'd like to say that Council President McGovern, a butterfly garden and the beauty and grace that it represents is entirely fitting as a tribute to your wife. She had a very big impact on my daughter and countless other children in the community. Her volunteerism, her participation was tremendous.
Michael, it means a lot. I really do appreciate it.
Really, I actually drove by and didn't know what it was, and I only hope the sign's big enough that everybody really knows what this is all about. And if it's not, I personally make sure it will be.
I'm sure it's something that we can, Jennifer Nicolay had some ideas today to expand it a little bit with benches and other signs, that this can really grow, go beyond what we originally thought of as just a butterfly garden where people can go and just kind of meditate, when they have to think things out and have little troubles on their mind and stuff like that.
It's great.
And it's great.
Entirely fitting. The second thing I'd like to discuss this night and ask is, in terms of recognition, I see that on tonight's agenda is a resolution naming the Belmar Marina. The question I have for the council is, how did we go about, what was the process of selecting the individual to whom we're paying this tribute?
Well, I think over the years, are you familiar with Mr. Minuti?
Not that much, to be perfectly honest with you, Councilman McGovern.
Okay, okay.
Council President McGovern, excuse me.
Hey, just call me Brian.
Brian.
Jack Minuti was actually born over Moyer's drugstore, which is now Don's Pizza Cat. He was born and raised in Belmar. He rose to the level of police chief, and he was also a councilman, a commissioner, no, councilman. He was a councilman in town for many, many years. He was very active in athletics. He was on the St. Rose first state championship basketball team. So really, his family generation goes back into the 1800s. And we felt as if he was of significant stature in this community. And I believe his family came forward and asked if there was anything we could possibly do, recognize him for his service to the borough of Belmar.
Okay. And we've had other very worthy public servants. I recommend.
We probably don't have enough. We probably don't have enough sites to recognize all the
Consideration, former Mayor Ken Pringle, who for 20 years served this community, did a lot of things to put the community in the right direction, laid the groundwork for a lot of what's happening today. Was very gracious to council meetings, that when you came to the council meeting, you had questions and concerns, you know, engaged you for as long as it took to educate you about his stance and his decisions. And that's one of the reasons why I asked the question, is I was wondering if any input was sought from the community. And is that something that the council, even at this late date, might consider?
For former Mayor Ken Pringle?
Well, any community member worthy of a recommendation, I always put it to the committee as a whole and seek the community as a whole and seek the community's input.
Let's see if I can answer this the best I can. I would bet that Ken Pringle would be more than happy to recommend this honor for Jack Minuti. You know, and probably right now up there, Jack Minuti and Franny Piano are probably having a beer over the fact that Jack just got part of the Belmar named after him, because there's such. Jack Minuti and Franny Piano were boyhood friends all the way through. But I would be concerned. I could be wrong, but I bet you if we threw this out to the community, where, you know, like who they thought should be recognized, we'd probably have like 100 different great nominations. So
but again, that might be a good thing. I mean, this is exactly my point. You might actually
is telling people that deserve it that no, we're not going to give it to your relative. You know, it's, you know, for everyone that gets something, someone might be disappointed that, well, why say no to my uncle? You know, we've tried to do benches, we've tried to do trees, you know, in town, recognizing different people, but yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. I could open out the Pandora's box by putting it out to the community and having them suggestions of who it should be nominated after.
Maybe you wouldn't. Maybe just the opposite would happen. Maybe you'd get a consensus, and the beauty of it would be that you'd be seeking input from the community at large.
Yeah,
that's exactly
good
my
point.
And Colleen, sorry to interrupt, but you know, whether it's something like this or Citizen of the Year, if people have recommendations, feel free to go to April, Colleen, anytime throughout the year.
Yes.
Jim, we don't even know who all the employees are, and since the year, quite honestly, I have put in, and I can continue to be able to put in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the reasons why when I asked tonight what the process was for selecting this individual,
Yeah.
it's not a knock on this person whatsoever, or their service to our community.
No.
It's just that I'd like to
Jack really deserves it.
see this more input being sought on all issues. If it wasn't, you know, and again, some of the things about, you know, Ken's service to our community have been controversial lately, but quite honestly, if he didn't engage in lawsuits and stuff, we might have, you know, structures on the beach that Councilman Brennan didn't agree with, and was glad to see that they were changed. This is, again, part and parcel to an underlying theme I've consistently come before this council with, is community involvement and seeking the community's input, whether it be meetings, whether it be emails and questions and answers, whether it be an open solicitation for ideas.
Anytime.
I don't know if you could have an open thing. We could probably come up with a list of 5 or 6 people and have them.
That'd be great.
You know,
I'd be all in favor of that.
Yeah.
Just to have some say in it, and I would like to.
So we got like 25, 30, or 50 people. It's like, oh, wow, what do you do? It's, you know, process of committee, and as opposed to narrowing it down to people that, you know, someone in my neighborhood might think someone's special, but, you know, someone over at Rhode Island Point had no idea, they never knew of that, heard of that person, or, like you said, I mean, you've lived in here, Belmar, about 20 years or so?
Yes, sir.
And so you probably came after Jack Minuti had kind of like retired and was no longer out in the public eye, but certainly his many years of dedication to Belmar.
Again, no knock,
Yeah.
but respectfully,
Yeah.
Jack Minuti was a councilman, a committeeman, and Pringle was the mayor.
Yeah.
And for 20 years, a mayor that had a huge impact on this community.
Yeah. Okay.
The 20 years I was still living here.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, Mike. David? This is on the resolution, I guess on the butterfly resolution for the naming of Belmar Marina.
Anything on the agenda.
Anything on the agenda?
Yeah, anything on the agenda.
Okay.
Well, as long as you're taking, David Scheck, 350 Street, as long as you're taking suggestions, I'd like to nominate Joe Hillman as somebody who's worthy of having some public structure named after. He was a committeeman in Belmar in the 1990s, and as you know, during his time of public service, we may not know, he was involved in shutting down some of the bars that were involved in corrupt activities. Actually,
we would have to be careful not to mention Joe Hillman and Jack Minuti in the same breath, okay?
Did they not get along, or?
If you knew the history of those two gentlemen, it would not go over well.
Well, I didn't
But
mean
they probably
it as
both
any
deserve
kind of insult to Jack Minuti or anything. I didn't know that they had a contentious relationship or whatever.
Contentious?
Well, I don't know.
Contentious.
But I got to know Joe Hillman pretty well in the years before he died, because we walked our dogs in the same neighborhood and we chatted.
He was buried, he was lifeguard. He was a lifeguard with me on 10th Avenue Beach, and I always wondered why he wore blue socks. Well, I was lifeguarding.
But I had the honor to have a pretty long talk with his younger brother, who is actually a federal judge in Camden Circuit Court, and he was telling me a lot of stuff about Joe that I didn't know. But you also may not know that there are two streets in Belmar named after his two daughters, Gabrielle and Anna Swain, or is it
Gabrielle and
but behind those new
yes,
those alleys behind them.
even though they spelled Gabriella wrong.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
But anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there because it's just terrible, you know, into recent years with all the tragedies involved with the Hillman family. So,
good point.
Yeah, thank you.
We could go on and on with the different people that deserve it. Yes. Anybody else?
Yeah, Brian.
Hey, Donnie Sterner. Donald Sterner might be one, right?
Yeah, especially since the Fisherman's Den is named after him already. I want to make sure that that plaque goes to the new building. He developed that whole marina. He used to talk to me about McCleary Park and how he did that. He was, not to say he had a big ego, but he certainly did. He developed everything along that river.
He did.
And I just want to make sure that that building that was dedicated to him.
Which building is this now?
This is the old Fisherman's Den. There's a plaque as you walk into the back.
Okay.
And I want to make sure that that gets to the new building.
You're very much on our radar.
And people didn't know it. Donald Sterner, he was your grandfather, was also good friends with Jim Ford.
Of course, yes. They were the first world professional football.
Yes, yes. Very good, yeah. We could never forget your, and he was instrumental in developing 195 into 16th Avenue.
Yeah.
It was.
He used to tell me stories about that, even though it was dedicated to Jimmy Howard.
Yes.
Who was my 5th grade science teacher.
What grade you get?
I don't want to take myself, but he basically said when he was highway commissioner in the 30s, the whole interstate system running east-west was going to come off at 16th Avenue in Belmar. And when he told me about it, it was just so far in the future, you couldn't really see it. When I grew up, Route 38 was 138 was just a dirt road.
Yeah.
And
138.
yeah, and as I say, I just want to make sure he's not forgotten.
No.
Everything in this town, from the Waterview Pavilion, which was the old Legion Hall, and the Doughboy Football Park, was all done by him. And if his name isn't on that marina or somewhere dedicated as something major, there's something wrong.
No. Well, we'll make sure. And Donnie, you or Doug, I'm sure the Sterner family has tremendous things in your attic or basement. If you could come Tuesday night to do that, yeah.
I'm the guy that has accumulated most of the stuff, and I'll bring all I can next.
You just bring some of those photographs that you used to hang on the Sterner.
Well, in fact, you got one from the carnival.
Yeah, I donated that to the historical house. Yeah, great.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, done. Anyone else? Okay, do I have a motion to close?
I'll make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay. That's why I have my glasses to read it. I mean, I can see Larry Reynolds back there fine without glasses. Resolutions, okay. To the consent agenda, correct there, Colleen?
Yes, actually, let's have them vote on them on our board. We did that.
No, the resolution for...
Housing Authority is next.
Okay. Okay, once Janice gets off the dais, can I have a motion for the resolution on making an appointment to the Belmar Housing Authority?
I'll second.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes. Come on up, Janice. Okay, can I have a motion to approve resolutions by the consent agenda, or is there anything that has to be pulled?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. We have a second?
Second. Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Councilman Nicolay?
Yes.
Councilman McGovern?
Yes. Okay, that takes care of the resolutions. Oh, thank goodness, there's no ordinances. Well, I don't mind the first readings, it's those second readings that really are. Okay. That means we open up to the public session. If you want to come up to the microphone, you please state your name and address. Claire?
Yes, thank you.
I know you project.
On behalf of our Belmar Cares, which is a local breast cancer support group, I would like to thank tourism and the Belmar Council and staff for allowing us to sell popcorn at movie night. We had a fantastic night a couple weeks ago. We made $450. We ran out of containers for popcorn. We also sold water and soda and candy. It was a marvelous night. I thank all the people who purchased our items. We use the money to support breast cancer patients and survivors. We donate to Mary's Place. We donate to a place called Breast Intentions. We buy food cards at the ShopRite for women who can't get out to buy food for themselves. So that money will be put to great use. And the opportunity was very much appreciated. And I think the idea of having movies on the beach for free and then allowing organizations to sell popcorn and other items to benefit their organizations is a marvelous idea, and I thank you implicitly for that.
And there are several organizations to benefit.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I was just going to say, if I can touch on that, Claire, I'm a survivor and I'm blessed to be part of this group, and there's a small handful of us, unfortunately, but if you know anybody who's struggling with breast cancer, anybody that's a survivor that wants to be part of our group,
It's wonderful, to be honest. And we do help a lot of people, we do a lot of kids.
We do kids. We buy items such as hats and socks and teas and anything that would comfort a woman who's just been operated on for cancer or who's in treatment. And those little items cost. So that money is very well applied. So I thank you very much for giving us that opportunity.
Thank you, Claire.
Paul? Paul is the chairman of the Harbor Commission. Paul DeSantis, 9th Avenue. A Green Bay Packer fan? No? No.
Joe Rumler.
Oh, I'm sorry, neighbor.
One clarification. Who's appointed to the Belmar Housing Authority?
Oh, we didn't mention that, I'm sorry.
No, but it's on the agenda.
Sorry, it's no meeting.
No, sorry, it's on the resolution.
Carol Sherrick and Jim Coonbuck.
No, there was,
No, I'm sorry, let me just hang on. Lisa Orchard, Janice Kim Blackburn, and Carolyn Sherrick.
Okay. But that was one thing. Second thing, could anybody enlighten me why we're taking so many trees down around town?
yes, I can probably enlighten you. What happened is after the storm Sandy came in late October, most of the trees are what they refer to as deciduous trees. They had dropped their leaves, and all their energy for the upcoming year were stored in the roots. The salt water came in. Trees don't like salt water, and they were sitting in salt water for many, many days. The following spring, all those trees were able to leaf out because the energy was stored in the roots and now was moving up. But the tree was basically dead from the salt water. So the second season, those trees showed that they were dying or dead and thus becoming hazardous. They dropped their bark. And now a lot of those trees, street trees, which were like 75, 100 years old, their limbs were hanging over the street or over the sidewalk and could, for any reason during a storm, suddenly just drop and hit a moving car or hit a pedestrian on the sidewalk. So we had what they refer to as a CTI, Certified Tree Inspector, come down and inspect, especially the trees on 8th Avenue and D Street.
Yeah, I saw it.
And that was just a hazardous situation waiting to happen at any time, you know? We were fortunate that by the time we got them down, they didn't hurt anybody that we know of. But what we had to do with those trees was that power lines went through them. And a lot of the branches went above the power lines. That was beyond what our DPW guys could do. You had to have a professional tree service come and do that. And JCP&L graciously agreed to take those trees down below the power lines. Then our DPW were able to take the rest of the tree down to a stump. And now, quite honestly, it's up to the residents to call in somebody and just grind them down, correct?
Correct.
Now, in reality, those trees are the responsibility of the homeowner, even though there's street trees. But, you know, the one gentleman, he must have had like 6 or 7 trees. That would have cost him thousands of dollars. So we really did him a big favor in the line of safety. We did it so that no one would get hurt. I think that's a good trade-off.
Did he inspect like 9th and E in front of my house? Because we have 3 big ones, and they bloomed again, and
yeah,
as far as I can tell, they're still alive. And they were under salt water 4 feet.
Yeah, your trees didn't. It was funny, like the trees, they didn't all die. You know, so we found that the trees on 8th Avenue that were taken down, the trees that died were pruned by JCP&L that season. And so they're under stress from the severe pruning. So therefore, they're under stress. Then they were sitting in salt water. They died because the trees across the street on the south side did not die. They were not pruned, and they're not as healthy as they could be, but you know, they're not dead. They're not hazardous.
So a follow-up question, what if the homeowners don't take the stumps down? We don't look at those stumps for 20 years?
You know, that's something it's in the ordinance. It's something that has never been really enforced. And I think it's probably pretty controversial to go up and tell the president, okay, you know, here's a bill that you're once suspecting for, you know, $100, $200, you have to grind this down. And everyone's going to argue that, well, it's not my property, you planted the tree. Well, you know, probably the town of Belmar did plant that tree, probably 75, 80, 100 years ago. Before that was a macadam road, while it was still a dirt road. And probably you would never plant a sycamore tree where they were planted. They look nice, but it was the wrong kind of tree to plant there, you know, and then put electric lines through it.
Is there a plan to, let's say if they take the stumps down, is the borough going to plant some more trees?
We would.
Because I really don't want the town to look like a development out in Waller Jackson.
You're right. Yeah.
Okay? And it's beginning to get very barren.
Yeah.
You can tell walking to the beach every day. Yeah. Down Ninth Avenue, half of it has no trees whatsoever.
It takes money. I can tell you that in the Shade Tree Commission budget it's about $3,000. And to plant a tree that's like 3 inch in diameter, 10 feet tall, which is about the size of an ideal tree to transplant. It's big enough to have a root system that can take over, but small enough to start adjusting to the new soil conditions. But they're pretty expensive, you know, and the number of trees that we would have to do throughout town, we would need probably a state grant, because when I drive up in town, I can see a lot of trees that should be taken down that need to be replaced. And do we have the money right now? Not really. Is there a total priority? Only the hazardous trees. And Sal Sorcelli from our DPW, who was in the Shade Tree Commission, has done a great job. And Sal will go, they'll go, Brian, I can get that tree. I said, are you sure? You know, we have a bucket truck. We can do it now. You know, and he's not a professional, but he's willing to do it, and he has pruned some branches that were overhanging the road. So
I guess I just encourage the Borough Council to put that on the radar.
Yeah.
And really think about putting more trees in town, because as I said, certain areas are beginning to look like developments.
You know, yeah. And the thing is, when we plant those trees in front of, someone will say, I don't want that tree in front of my house.
That's true.
You know, and it's like, well, and we're really dependent.
The borough owns the ground, so they can plan and do it anyhow.
If we plant in front of your house and you want that tree, you're probably going to take care of it. You're going to have to water it and everything like that. Someone that doesn't want that tree in front of their house, we plant it there, they're just going to let it go, and you know it's not going to survive. So it's really.
All right. Well, thanks for the clarification.
My next door neighbor is Gene Kramer, and he put in 4 or 5 trees years ago, and they look beautiful.
Yeah, he researched it.
Takes care of them.
He bought the right kinds of trees, because you don't want to get a sycamore and plant it underneath wires. You know, you want to get a tree that's only going to grow about 15 feet high.
Our wire's on the other side. My trees were planted in around 1895.
Yeah, so, and it was probably a dirt road back then.
Well, it was four houses and they backfilled the lake.
Yeah. We should blame those guys that planted them. Who is that guy in 1895 that planted that tree? Yeah. Anybody else? Mr. McLaughlin?
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, members of the council. My name is
Mr. President, the council president. I mean, I have no aspirations beyond.
Once you're president, you're always president.
Okay.
My name is Roger McLaughlin. I'm with the Wall Township law firm of McLaughlin, Stauffer, and Shackley, and I'm here tonight on behalf of my clients Tim Harmon and Matt Harmon. Tim and Matt, as I'm sure most of you know, were born and raised in Belmar. Speaking of people born and raised in Belmar tonight, but have also owned the boathouse, bar and restaurant for almost 20 years, and until recently operated at 507 Main right down the street. For a number of months, they have been attempting to transfer the liquor license that they own, that was at 507, to a location across the street on River Avenue for an outdoor bar and restaurant, one not dissimilar to the 9th Avenue Pier, we have down at Jim Marina, and under the auspices of Greg Capalco and his company, Loco LLC, which is the borough's redeveloper of that property, which is the old Pied Piper. Unfortunately, the Harmons and as well as Mr. Capalco have met with a great deal of interference and resistance on the part of the borough to accomplishing that goal. Despite the fact that, as Mr. Capalco I know will address this evening, the borough does have a redevelopment agreement with Loco. There is a site plan that's been approved for phase 1 of that redevelopment, which consists of the outdoor bar and restaurant. On the waterfront, phase 2 consists of residential condominiums, but the outdoor facility is supposed to be there for 3 years under the redevelopment agreement. Back in April, the Harmons filed an application with the borough and with the police department to transfer the alcoholic beverage license. It wasn't until late May, early June that when they were not hearing anything back from the police department and not being able to get a response to their inquiries about the status of the investigation of their application, which is standard procedure, as you know. And when they started making some calls and came to me, and I started making some calls, that we found out that unlike what would happen normally with a liquor license application of that sort, where the detective bureau would assign a detective and do an investigation, the investigation was being handled by your captain, Captain Andrew Heisman. We found that to be unusual, but it's up to the police department, obviously, how they handle their personnel and who they assign to what tasks. The problem that we've had is a complete delay in getting a report to you as the council so you can consider that application. The application was filed in April. They weren't even asked initial questions until the end of May and early June. We asked for a meeting to discuss the issue, and we're finally able to schedule one on June 16th. The administrator was not able to attend, but Mr. DuPont did. He asked us the very next day to contact the police department and ask for a meeting. We did that. We asked for a meeting immediately, and it took about 10 or 12 days to get the meeting on June 26th, and we came here and sat down next door with the administrator, with the captain, and with the lieutenant and detective lieutenant to go over the application. I'm not quite sure why a liquor license transfer application involving 2 people who have been licensees in the town for 20 years to a place that you've already approved as a council and as a borough for a bar and restaurant would require the attention of 3 senior members of your department, but that was the case. We were asked for information, additional information at that time. Quite frankly, information that should have been asked when the application was first filed in April. When you look at an application and you decide you want information, you ask for it. You don't wait till a meeting several months later. That information was provided to your police department, everything that was asked for at least 3 weeks ago. And since that time, not only have we not heard from the police department, but Captain Heisman has failed to respond to multiple emails from me and voicemails from me as to the status of that application. The application, most applications for liquor license or transfers that should not take that long, do not take that long, and I'm sure in your experience have not taken that long, because we've checked into some of the past applications that have been made to the borough. Unfortunately, we fear that there has been an effort to stand in the way of what's happening with that liquor license transfer, because the mayor has made statements to Mr. Harmon that he was opposed to that transfer, and that application would never be granted to transfer that liquor license. Capalco can talk to you about his conversations with the mayor. But there seems to be an effort on the part of borough officials to slow down that process, to not handle the process in the way it should be. And to add to the insult and injury, the borough has stopped work over there by the issuance of a stop work order because of borough claims that what's being built does not exactly match what's on the approved site plan. We've attempted to address those issues with your construction official, Mr. Bianchi, who refuses to meet with us. We have addressed those issues with Mr. Kovacs, who's the planning board attorney, and who offered to set up a meeting, but then was told that there would be no meeting. And we've tried to come to the last meeting of the planning board to discuss that on an informal basis, because frankly we feel that the changes that have been made are quite insubstantial. And the board did not feel it appropriate to hear us, and have asked us to file a formal application, which we will. But the borough, as the redevelopment agency, is obligated under its redevelopment agreement with Mr. Capalco to cooperate in getting approvals and making sure that things happen. We're trying to do what the borough, at least a couple of years ago, said ought to be done, a project that the borough approved and signed a redevelopment agreement to support. And all we have met with is delay, people ignoring our inquiries, refusing to move an application forward that ought to be a rather simple matter, quite frankly. And we're here tonight on behalf of the Harmons to ask the council to look into that and ask the council to urge its officials and employees to handle the application that's pending before you and before the police department in a fair and expeditious way, despite the fact that it may have been a change of mind, at least on someone's part, about the efficacy of the project that you're committed to. Very much appreciate your time tonight, and I'll answer any questions that you have.
I got one question and another point. April, do you know if they're on for this planning board meeting for the 26th, 27th?
I haven't received any applications yet.
Did you realize that?
We do. We're completing a completely new plan showing the actual as-built that will be submitted before the end of the week. I understand landmarks to have that done.
Time to get out for this meeting?
It's going to get very close.
Going to get very close, you understand it?
I know we're cutting it close.
What I have to do, being a member of the council, and I'm also the council's representative on the planning board, I've been advised by our planning board official, and I'm friends with Matt and Tim, and I'm friends with Greg. So I'm probably going to have to recuse myself or not say anything to show where I stand. It might be prejudicial. So I'm not going to say anything else. I'm going to ask the council people here to maybe speak to Mr. McLaughlin about what you just heard.
I don't know enough details, to be honest. I'm hearing what you're saying, but I would certainly have to talk to our borough administrator about the details. Certainly wouldn't want to give any advice or opinion.
And as for Tom and myself, we were not on the council when the council approved anything prior to this. So I don't know if Tom has done any studying on it, but I certainly have not either.
All I can say is that I'm sure that the is exercising all due diligence. I understand how frustrating it can be. You're watching the summer go by and you think you could be getting this done. I'm sure they're going to get it done as quickly as possible. I will defer to the police department as far as when they feel the application is done and they're satisfied. If they're satisfied, I'm satisfied.
I appreciate that, Councilman. I'll tell you just by way of background as to myself. I've been a municipal attorney now for about 35 years. So I can't even begin to estimate how many liquor license applications I've been involved in from the municipal side and a few on the private side as well. I've never seen one handled like this. ever. Not here, not anywhere. It's extremely unusual. I have never seen a liquor license transfer application investigated, handled by a captain of the police department. I will honestly tell you that I've never looked at your police department's manual and orders, but I guarantee you that's not in the captain's job description. I've never been involved in a situation where people won't meet with me. A construction official won't meet with a redeveloper, won't meet with a builder, won't meet with people trying to do a job. That is incredibly unusual to me as a municipal attorney, and that's what leads us to believe that there's something more here than meets the eye. I understand that these are not matters that necessarily would be within your knowledge, and that's why I'm here tonight. As Tim and Matt wanted to make sure that you're aware of it, in the hopes that that would get things moving and get some real responses back to us. I appreciate that.
All I can say is, as April, who is the planning board secretary, does he have by the end of this week? When would you say he has to get this?
Well, the notices to those within 200 feet in the newspaper have to be done by no later than Friday to meet the deadline. And that can't be done until an application and plans are actually submitted, because the notice says that those items are on file.
Is that doable, Mr. McLaughlin?
With the mercy of our engineer, I can only tell you that we told him that deadline, and we're certainly hoping to get everything followed.
Okay, yeah. If you can do that, I bet you, it's a move in the right direction.
Good. I think it should be. It's a good project, and I think, quite frankly, the differences between the approved plan and what's out there right now on site is really negative.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Kapalka. Rick.
Guys, I'm again, I'm Belmar resident since 1980. Done a tremendous amount of construction in this town. My partners and I probably put the biggest rateable in the borough in the last 20 years at Westport. The 55 and over community over on Highway 71, which we sold our last unit about a month ago. And, I've been involved in this project over at the Pied Piper site for the last 3 years. And, I came before the council. I came before the council with the plan, with the 3-year temporary use, followed by our phase 2. And, I promised to demolish a building that needed to be demolished. I promised to improve the streetscape, and I got the development agreement signed in January of 2014. We were on the planning board meeting, and we got our approvals at that point. I met in early February with Colleen and Matt, and I told them in order for us to move ahead, we needed to secure our financing. As part of the redevelopment agreement, the borough was going to vacate portions of River Road and Paper Street. They told me they would be on it, and we would have the vacation and the deed in hand so we can get our bank financing by that. May came, there was no resolution or ordinance, whatever had to be passed wasn't done. They said it would happen in June. My partner Brett Rusi showed up at the June council meeting last June. The property wasn't vacated, there was no deed, and we actually didn't get the deed in hand until October. Nonetheless, we started demolition using our own dollars without the official vacation of property. We took the building out, we ran into some asbestos problems, which we got rid of, and we started our site plan. As the developers, we put in the infrastructure for the lighting, utilities, the gas, the water, the sewer, the power. We did the curbing, we did the sidewalks, and we graded the streets. With the curbing and everything in place, and the plan on file and approved in January, the police traffic safety officer came out after we were just getting ready to pay the project. And he said, well, you know, we don't like the crosswalk that's here, which was approved on the plan. We'd like an island here. We would like you to strike the entire street. We would like you to put a three-way stop in and add about $20,000 of cost. The borough engineer agreed with it, and we thought it would be good for the plan. There was no planning board approval on the change of our plan, but it was better for the borough. The borough engineer and the police traffic safety officer made the suggestions. We spent the extra dollars to make it a safer, better streetscape. We had no problems negotiating, you know, at that time. And now we're months later, and we can't meet with with someone in City Hall. We cannot meet with your zoning officials on. We go to talk to the zoning official, and the zoning official goes, "I can't do it. I'm talking. My hands are tied." Okay. I don't want to miss too much here. There was a, now, I know Councilman Nicolay and Councilman McGovern were here for the original thing. There was a meeting, when the Harmons, Ms. McLaughlin met with Colleen, and it was Bill Northgrave, the redevelopment attorney, and Captain Heisman in this office regarding their liquor license situation. Okay? At the time of the meeting, Ms. Conley and Bill Northgrave said that they never approved, they never were in favor of our phase one, and that they advised the council against it at the time when it went to vote. We were, if that was true, we never got that impression from the council, and we never got that impression from the planning board. Every approval we had, okay, everything that we laid out on the plan, we accomplished to the point where we said we would do it. And I've won not one, but 2 summers without a tenant. Okay? We spent $300,000 in infrastructure to regrade the street. The day last fall when when Mark Voschek, my site contractor, was getting ready to line stripe the street, I was told that our parking spaces on the approved site plan would number from 1 to 35. Every parking space that's on that site, from the beginning to just south of the garbage bin area that we graciously allow clients to use, we're supposed to be numbered from 1 to 35. We were told that the borough administrator will not let us number those spaces, even though they were approved on the planning board site by the planning board for our phase one till phase two when our construction was. So for the last for all winter and all summer, all our private parking is basically used as public parking. Now mind you, Ollie Klein's my neighbor, he's my friend, and I would let him use it anyway. Okay, but that's technically private property that we improved as redevelopers, as per the redevelopers agreement, yet the borough says we can't number them, so it doesn't look like they're private spaces. So the thing is, we feel we feel that there's something more that's going on here, and if in fact the borough no longer wants this project, I wish they would have told it to us before we signed our lease, and the Harmon brothers, who've been in this town for forever, started this project. In a normal situation.
Hey Greg.
Yeah.
I know we're good friends, and I know we can talk, but we're basically trying to limit people to 5 minutes, so if you can wrap this up.
I'll wrap it up in a minute. And again, we spoke on fan bucket, Brian. I was on a roll there.
You were.
Okay. Nonetheless, okay, there's item 27 in the redevelopment agreement, which basically mandates that the borough is supposed to cooperate and help us through both phases of this development period. And not only have they not been cooperating with us, they've been slowing us down to the point where my tenants have now missed not 1 but 2 summers. First last summer because we couldn't get the deed, and this summer because there's all sorts of meetings that aren't held. It is within the borough's power okay? And it was in the construction officials' power to sit there and meet with us to talk about what is different and what could be changed or what could stay. Yet that meeting can't happen. They have to now go to planning board to do this. I just wish that this council would look into it. If they want us to proceed with the development, we'd be happy to, okay? But it really questions us. We have a $6 million phase 2 beyond as part of this project. And if we can't get cooperation in phase 1, how can we trust the borough for us to proceed with phase 2? Because right now, my partners and I are really getting second thoughts about this.
Okay. Greg, thank you. Kyle, do you want to say anything? No, we're just saying it.
Just to the extent where this is public session and the public is welcome to come and share their thoughts.
Okay.
If council members have questions, I encourage you to come and speak to me.
Tomorrow.
Anytime.
Yeah, we'll be in the office tomorrow, I guess. The young lady next to Mike Seebeck.
Young lady, I like that.
Good evening, Katrina Klapsis, 1304 B Street. I am one of the committee people on the petition that was presented to you guys. And I have some questions about the fact that there is no public meeting next month, and then we're on that 20-day clock.
Well, no, there's no second meeting for this month, but there will be a meeting next month.
Right, but the 20-day, for you guys to accept the petition, there's a 20-day clock running, and you said August 24th, correct? And so there's not going to be a meeting before August 24th, correct? So my question is how, if you're going to accept the petition, I'm asking you this question, can it be accepted without being done in the public? And if not, what happens?
Can you answer that?
Well, I mean, the mere fact that there's no meeting scheduled during that, whatever it is, 20, 24-day period, 20-day period, isn't in and of itself dispositive of anything. The council will meet on it at some point in time, discuss it. And
can we discuss it without a?
Yes.
Okay. So it looks like the council could discuss that amongst ourselves before that 24-day.
Okay, and then so how would the people on the committee then be informed whether you accepted it or did not accept the petition? And then going forward on that, are we talking special election versus an election in November? How do we go about getting that information out to the public?
If I could offer, I mean, from this point forward, any decision of the council to convene the meeting or take official action would be properly noticed.
Okay.
So you would be able to do something, not necessarily within the realm of a regular public meeting, but you would do something, you could do something separate then.
Right.
What you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, this is public session. It's an opportunity for members of the public to express their views. If there are specific questions you'd like me to follow up with after the fact, I'm happy to do so.
You know, this is a council meeting where we're all up here, but each one of us at some point, pretty much every day, stop in to the administrator and we talk things out, you know. And I always find it very easy to speak with Colleen, and I do speak with the mayor. He's away on vacation right now, but I've been in touch with him every day. You know, so we are constantly talking amongst ourselves and discussing things. So that's probably what we'll do. If we need to call one or two of us in at the same time, and so there's not a quorum, we can do that. You know, I'll find out how Janice feels, how Jen or Tom feel, and we'll probably notify you through the proper channels.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Michael.
Mike Seebeck, 110 Second Avenue. Good evening again. Excuse me. I'd like to just read a quick little letter. This letter's titled, Rest Assured, Mayor and Council will put residents' best interests ahead. Much has been made about Belmar's recovery from Sandy over the past 2.5 years. From the very beginning, we worked together as a community to help one another recover and rebuild. It was an amazing spirit that led the governor and many others around the state to look at us as leaders in the recovery at the Jersey Shore. Unfortunately, since the very beginning, there have been petty political opposition to our recovery as a community, led by a small group of people, including past elected officials with an axe to grind. Most recently, former councilman and failed mayoral candidate James Bean wrote a letter to the editor implying that we should not rebuild Taylor Pavilion up to modern codes and standards. Rather, he believes we should rebuild entirely what was there before. The obvious folly in that is the next storm may demolish it and FEMA will not give us one dime for it. As Bean should know from being on council, FEMA will only give us money to rebuild if we go up to modern codes and standards. Also, disgraced former mayor Ken Pringle has reared his head out from under the sand. He recently filed a lawsuit to stop the town from using FEMA money to rebuild the Taylor Pavilion. There is no merit in his argument, but he is a crafty lawyer and will say anything to impede our recovery. My guess is he cannot stand that someone else is mayor. It's sort of sad, and he really needs to move on with his life. I anticipate that Bean, along with Pringle and some other petty political opponents, will try to stop rebuilding the Taylor Pavilion, just like they did with the outfall pipe for Lake Como, by pushing a misleading petition drive. We will have to fight back against them one more time and defend our community and our recovery. Fortunately, the residents can rest assured that the council and I will continue to rebuild our community and always put the people's interests ahead of our political interests. Signed, Matt Doherty, Mayor of Belmar. The reason I've read this letter at this council meeting is I would like to know how you feel, and do you harbor the same opinions that our mayor does in terms of our former mayor Ken Pringle?
I don't know that the council should be discussing this because there's all sorts of issues that are currently in litigation, and this is the public comment part, so I really don't think the council is in a position to make any comment on that.
We'll probably put it as a surprise.
All right.
I did not sit down there and write that with Mike, with Matt. I wasn't in his head. I don't know how he feels. I don't know how Kenny feels, so.
Well, first off, let me just say that I would like it if, again, I come to every meeting pleading that all of you have discussions, open and public, and debate all of the issues that impact our town. If I'm considered part of a small, petty, politically minded group of opponents to recovery, you guys collectively don't have a clue as what's going on in the community. This program in particular was voted down by a majority of voters last year. There have been lawsuits and petitions when really all it takes is a welcoming and an opening and some real meetings where people are invited to come and have input and discuss things. The other thing I want to say in closing, and I know you're not going to comment anything about this segment, as a perfect example, today we checked regularly the payment of bills listing just to get an idea of what's going on. It wasn't posted until 2 o'clock this afternoon. That's something I can't understand why that information isn't available with time enough for people to do due diligence, research, come and ask questions. Now, on a positive note, I want to thank all of you for answering questions tonight and having discussion. Even though I know that our borough administrator mentioned several times, this is public session, it's only for people to come express themselves. When people come here genuinely looking for answers, and they seek your input, you folks are the leaders in our town. You're our elected officials. You represent everyone, regardless of their political persuasion, and regardless of their opinions. It's your job to hear everyone. So the fact that you folks took the time to discuss with people things tonight and answer questions, I want to say I thank you very much and offer my sincerest compliments and gratitude.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Person over here.
To the microphone.
My name is Roseanne Eaton. I live at 13 Street, and good evening to the council members. I have to say I'm really happy that I'm in Belmar. I've been here for almost 20 years, and for 4 long years I was in Maryland because Fort Monmouth closed, and I had to go down there. Now I'm back, and I got a job in Eatontown, so I'm back in Belmar, and I always told myself, like, if I could ever come back here, I promised to do something to pay back the town. So I just want to tell all of you that I want to be able to volunteer myself to help out in the town. I'm mostly interested in the government. I don't know where you could have me help you with community work. I'm here available. Volunteering.
That's very nice of you. Thank you. Thank you.
Also, I just wanted to say I did attend. Thank you. I did
Think
attend.
about it.
I did attend a meeting at the coffee shop turnstile the other night, and I know that we were told, and I'm just getting involved in this, and so I know all of you did a lot of really long work on McCleary Park, so I can't come in the 11th hour really and do a lot of questioning. But I want to be involved from this point forward. But I did hear Ms. Connolly had said that she was going to send us an email so that the people in our Rhode Island Port of Town could actually be involved in the meeting. Have you sent that email yet? Okay. So will we be receiving that email?
If we said we were going to send it, we will.
And I think that meant that we were supposed to be having a meeting. But anyway, I'll wait to get the email. The little research I have done, I just want to say, and it's a little bit about McCleary Park. In the beginning, I questioned very much how could you come up with these things, and I remember I had said during the meeting, and the mayor had agreed, if you have a bulkhead, you would think that you'd want to do that work first. I got that we can't, so I actually researched a little bit, and I found out that, and I could be wrong about these numbers, an initial grant of $880,000 which is 25% of the cost that the town needs to come up with the other 75%. So that is $3.3 million, but the bulkhead alone would have cost more than that. So I can understand now why we couldn't go into the bulkhead because it was more than the initial grant. Although, I mean, these are the kind of things I'm even interested in too, but not only McCleary Park. And so I just want to let you know.
You can trust me, we are doing the best we can when you're dealing with the state, the county, and the monies that we have that we can allot to repairs. And since that meeting, we did send our DPW over there, and they did a lot of the daily maintenance that our guys can do. So we did, that meeting, we responded the best we can. As far as cutting down the grasses, that's state property along the highway. Certain things we can't do. So we're working on what we can do. Thank you.
Anyway, what I'll do is I'll leave somebody my number for you, so you can give me a call.
I have it from you the other night.
Okay, and then, yeah, sure. Anybody, anytime.
Okay. Tom. Yes.
Spending night earlier this evening, we're talking about remembering things. Somebody came by my door today and brought me this booklet and reminded me that I promised them that we would keep alive some of the concerns that were raised as a result of the Seafood Festival 8 weeks ago. And the fact that the town had an overabundance of people in it.
Sorry, we can't hear you, Tom.
Yeah, we can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Is that better? Yes.
Yes.
The town had an overabundance of people, and there were a lot of people concerned, and that I had spoken out about the concern that residents were making. On the 17th of July, I met at my request with the mayor. We talked about some of the concerns, and he and I talked about, we pretty much agreed that we should consider changing perhaps the time of the year that the event is held before the event is held. And we came to some agreement that some changes were to be made.
And I'm sorry, this is for the Seafood Festival.
For the Seafood Festival, not tourism in general.
Right.
For tourism. I wish Mary were here because 3 days later I met with Mayor Barbizon. We talked about the whole thing. I got her take on it. But what I was reminded of today, and somebody brought this to me, is that you haven't heard anything since that time. It's been 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah,
Nobody's.
we were going to wait until after the summer.
And that's exactly what Mary told me, and I understood that, and we had good dialogue. What was brought to me today was a brochure from Monmouth Park for the Haskell last Sunday. Okay? In this booklet, there's only one advertisement that's not related directly to horse racing, and it's promoting Belmar tourism. Quarter-page color ad.
Is that good? Do you consider that good, or?
I don't know. I think that's one of the things we need to discuss.
A lot of people went to that.
That's right, and a lot of people come to this town. And, you know, I'm not against tourism, but until we get a handle on who we're directing our dollars to, advertising dollars to, and get some sort of control on things like the Seafood Festival and who we might be attracting, I think we need to be a little cautious about how we do our advertising.
Yes.
And I know there's some disagreement on that, and I know that the tourism budget requires.
And I'm sure there always will be.
Right, and I understand that. We're not against tourism. But for Belmar to have the only advertisement in this booklet.
Who is it that we should be attracting? Just curious.
I think that's what the problem is. We need to sit down and figure out.
One would assume that the crowd at the Haskell
Might be a good crowd to have.
a well-heeled crowd, the kind of people we would love to see come.
However, on any given Sunday, on any given weekend this year, there hasn't been room for anybody else to come to town. So, you know, I'm just saying, I don't want us to forget the fact that we should be discussing this.
Very good.
And I don't think we want it to happen again next year, what happened this year.
Yeah, I know during the day that this office is a buzz. I mean, the girls are working nonstop, answering phones, getting things done. You know, with all the activities last week, the two great concerts at Piano Plaza, the movie on the beach. There's so much going on that, you know, once Labor Day comes, we can kind of catch our breath and sit down.
That's one of the problems. Last year, this was brought to the attention last year that we thought it might be getting too big. Time goes by and you get caught up in the swell of things before you know next year's here. I just don't want that to happen.
Okay. And if you can remember, my neighbor Ed Mangione, Joe Mangione, wants to be on that committee to talk. You know, he's in ground zero. Anybody else? Dave Schneck. Thank you.
David Schneck, 302 C Street. Stay. Sorry. You know, I like to look at the reports made by election committees and Democratic and Republican. Is this thing?
It's on. It's a little static.
That kind of microphone, you basically have to keep your mouth right there. It's not an omni microphone where you can stand back and it'll pick up your sound. You pretty much, it's a direct microphone. You have to speak.
I don't really want to. I don't want to touch it. I'm sorry. Too close, right? Anyway, you know, I look at all the contributions that are made and such, and the other week I put up on my blog the reports filed by the Belmar Democratic Committee. I would put up the Republican Committee, but they don't get any money. You know, the Belmar Democratic Committee only got one contribution so far this year, and it was from the account of the Nick Scutari for Senate re-election committee. And does anybody know why you would be donating to the Belmar Democratic? I really wish Matt were here to answer this, but does anybody know why Nick, a state senator from Linden, is contributing $2,500 to the Belmar Democratic Committee?
Don't have an answer.
Go ahead.
It's a public comment. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, he also donated $1,500 to the Monmouth Democratic Committee. I see. I went and checked his filings, and The interesting thing that I found was that just 10 days, 16 days, I'm sorry, before he donated the $2,500 to Belmar Democratic Committee, he received $5,000 from the Laborers International Union. And the month before he donated $1,500 to the Monmouth Democratic Committee, $1,500, he received $1,500 from the Laborers International Union. And you know, to my eyes, this looks like pass-through contributions, which are a violation of Belmar pay-to-play ordinances. And you know, especially considering that in the past 2 years, the Belmar Democratic Committee has published campaign materials advocating for candidates and against candidates. They sent out information in 2013 advocating against Tom Burke and I, and the Belmar pay-to-play ordinance is very clear about the use of pass-through contributions. It's basically the use of straw donors to try to make the contribution look like, to conceal the actual contributor and make it seem like it came from someone else. And so I guess I'm going to have to wait until the mayor's here to answer this, but it does not look good, you know?
You know, my biggest supporter was my brother Pat, you know, so I don't know.
It just seems odd to me that the one contribution that they got was you know, an amount that just a week and a half before the contribution was made by Wayuna, and you know, that always has my antennas up when I see Wayuna contributing to Belmar political activities. So just wanted to make you all aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
You already went once, and we have someone wanting to go the first time. Joyce.
Good evening, Joy DeSanctis, 101 6th Avenue. I'm going to read here, and I think my battery's going to die, and I never read.
The battery's died.
The pavilion at 5th and Ocean Avenue in Belmar should be rebuilt to FEMA and new municipal code standards, and it will be when the mayor decides to scale it back to pre-Sandy size and function. The building is in the V1 zone, the highest hazard, and FEMA obligated, although I feel foolishly, $2.9 million to rebuild it. That is the amount. Spend that amount and start rebuilding it tomorrow. Scale it back to a functional building that services beachgoers with a small meeting area for events. Give residents the costs of operation during and after the season. Let us know all overheads, insurance, maintenance, staff salaries, all potential expenses before it is sent out to bid. Make sure there are no shenanigans selling alcohol and guarantee the food trucks will be gone and we will be all set to go. It will take an honest man like council candidate Dave Schneck to start the ball rolling. Otherwise, we will wait forever so the mayor can hire special contractors at overpriced fees. $2.9 million is enough to rebuild at FEMA hurricane standards. We just need to tell our engineers to make it smaller like it was before. If we cannot rebuild with $2.9 million, it should not be rebuilt, as residents will bear the burden. If it cannot be rebuilt with $2.9 million, it will be the fault of the mayor and the council. $4.1 million to build one pavilion is not acceptable, and borrowing to overbuild is irresponsible.
Okay, Joyce, let's see if I can answer that. The building is going to be the same size. The same building is going to be the same size. Inside, it's going to be like 35 feet wide. It's going to be 80 feet in length, north to south. On the north side, there's going to be a restaurant that's going to be the same size. The difference, the bigger cost, is the fact that it's going to be higher on the boardwalk, okay? But the building itself, the square footage inside.
What is it? What's the square footage?
Well, as I just said, let's do the math.
Well, because I've seen it.
35, 80.
I've seen it listed from 6,300 all the way up to 8,200, and any one of you should know that.
When you go to 8,000, they might be including the North End restaurant. But the actual inside that the beach, where we had the concerts and the square dancing and the arts and crafts programs, that room, and I know because I was there for so many years, it was 30, maybe 35 feet wide, you know, it's been a while, by 80 feet long. And then there was the kitchen and the bath. But it's got to be in the same footprints, And it's not going to be any taller except the fact that it's going to be raised 5 feet according to FEMA. If we don't build it to FEMA's standards,
all right, let's not even go there, because that's what y'all say when you want to just shut down and deter the conversation somewhere else. We all want it built to FEMA hurricane standards.
Yeah.
Everybody has to build to FEMA hurricane standards. We won't get paid unless we build to FEMA hurricane standards. So we can kind of put that to rest.
We cannot build Taylor Pavilion the way it was because it won't meet the current code standards that FEMA requires. And it's got to be higher, it's got to be above that.
I understand that, Brian. I do understand that.
And there's not going to be any connection between the restaurant. You're not going to be able to walk through a door in the restaurant into that area where we had the dances or concerts. Okay. So he can't extend his restaurant into there.
But I hope you understand by the fact that no one knows the square footage. It's a problem.
Let's do the math. 30 by 80.
It's a problem. It's a problem because we're spending $400,000 to furnish it.
But in the long run, it's not going to cost us it's not going to cost us $4 million because...
No, I said $400,000.
So if we build a building for $4 million, we can get reimbursed 90%. If we build the building for $3 million, scale it back, we're only going to get 90% of $3 million. If we build a $2 million building, we're going to get 90%.
Brian, we're getting $2.9 million approximately. Actually, it's 2.887 and change. And that's the combination of the obligation of the 5 pavilions. And that's what we're getting from FEMA. We can't just build and ask FEMA for 90% of what we decide we want to build, Belmar.
Colleen, would we ever be able to get a representative from FEMA here? Because, you know, no offense, people, what I'm telling you is what I believe. What you're telling me is what you believe. It would be great to get a neutral party.
Well, the mayor has already said it's $2.9 million that we're getting from FEMA.
I'm sorry, if I could just offer this as public comment.
Okay,
Residents want to offer.
Yeah, we're going to do that.
It's certainly to the councilman's point, when we do hire a project worksheets from FEMA, I'm certain we can have a public
FEMA, yeah. Just to reassure you that it's not going to be bigger. It's not going to cost us any money. FEMA will reimburse us 90%. We'll have this person say,
it's
yes,
obligated.
it will.
You know, Brian, thank you so much for responding. It seems like it's being encouraged that you shouldn't respond.
In some towns, these things can go until like midnight, so we were trying to...
Look, I just want to add something. The committee that Mr. Berg suggested we form has been meeting, and we've been looking at the plans for the building, and we've definitely looked into other options to see if it would be possible to reduce the cost of the building. I don't want to comment beyond that, except to say that the committee is really working hard, and personally I feel like I understand a lot more about what's involved.
Do you know the square footage?
Excuse me?
Do you know the square footage? Can you comment on that?
I can find a plan somewhere and do the math.
Yeah. Well, you can have it should be online.
You want me to give you a number off the top of my head? I'm making it up.
And the ceiling
I'm trying to tell you what I do know, and I'd appreciate it if you let me finish my comment.
Sure, of course.
Thank you. As I said, personally, I feel I'm finding much more understanding about what's involved and what is going to be required by the building, not just necessarily to meet FEMA's flood standards, but also ADA standards and other requirements that were not in existence when the previous building was built. And beyond
With
that,
all due
I'd
respect,
rather wait till the committee is done, and then
with all
set
due,
the public.
with all due
Thank you.
respect, the ADA requirements is a result of the boardwalk being underbuilt by 5 feet, and for the
That's your opinion, I appreciate that, but I don't
extensive
think
ramping
I don't
that
think
is
the
now
public-
necessary,
I
that's
don't
going to
think
cost
the public wants to go up and down.
$530,000.
Okay, Tom, we're gonna have to,
Okay.
thanks, Joyce.
Thank you.
Anyone that wants to talk that hasn't been up to the microphone yet? All right, Claire?
Just very quickly, to respond to Mr. Schneck's remark, I don't know that this is.
Right.
that
On a
this-
rebuttal, you're limited to 2 minutes.
I will not take more than a minute. I don't know if it was a fitting or appropriate environment for him to bring that up, but as a chairperson of the Democratic Committee, I know of no impropriety with donations to our committee. And I
Yeah.
find the insinuation
Yes.
I'm not happy with
Yeah.
that.
Okay, and I saw one more you had this place.
I'm sorry, I got
training classes, 1304 B Street.
That's where you lived before.
Yeah, when I came up last time. Ms. Byrne, actually, I forgot to ask you when I came up before about the committee that you guys meet. Are they going to be some open meetings that people can attend?
No, unfortunately, the meetings of the committee are not open, but when the committee is done, we will make a public presentation of our findings.
And do you have any idea, like, roundabout when that's going to be? Because I remember the mayor when the whole fanfare about the
We're meeting
committee came up.
scheduled on the 17th.
True. We plan to present on the 1st.
Okay, September 1st. Okay, and at this meeting, at the town meeting? Is that when you plan to present?
First.
I'm just asking, Colleen.
Yep, that's
why I'm here. Okay, thank you.
You know what?
All I can say is, and we're going to close up with Rose, because we could go on all night long with this question after question. In past years, when these pavilions were rebuilt, the mayor and commissioners did not have town input. When the 10th Avenue Pavilion was burnt down, they rebuilt it, and there was no public input. When Fifth Avenue Pavilion was burnt down, they replaced it with just the insurance money, and oh my goodness, as a recreation director, they couldn't have made it more difficult for me to have activities in there. At least now, the Fifth Avenue Pavilion design inside is going to be designed to accommodate the uses inside. Rose, last bit, here we go.
Mr. Gagnon, 201 9th Avenue. I keep reading letters in the paper about keeping it exactly the same as it was, but I'm on the ADA committee, and we've had dances for handicapped, summer dances, and the bathrooms, people in wheelchairs were not able to get in there, and the door...
Bathrooms where?
In the Fifth Avenue Pavilion.
The old building?
Yes. Has that
That's
been
because
addressed?
when they rebuilt, the commissioners and mayor rebuilt it according to what it was before it burnt down. They used the insurance money because that was one of the requirements. There weren't bathrooms in there. There were never bathrooms in the Fifth Avenue Pavilion before the fire. Our DPW built those bathrooms. Our DPW built the kitchen. And they did the best they can, but you know, they can do, our DPW can do anything, but they can't do everything. And what they did, limited to size, they built bathrooms that best they could do.
Will the new building have handicap accessible?
It would have to be.
Okay.
Would have to be.
Thank
Thank you. All right. Do I have a motion to close this meeting? Aye. Thank you. Thank you for coming, folks. You can have a little, you didn't know what was coming, right?
You know what? They do that?
I took that from the